What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Mile High Hockey. And it's safe to say the Avalanche are officially in a slump. Kind of rare that, we've had some podcasts this year, Drew, where we've sort of said maybe things aren't going perfect and then they just rebound nicely. But losers of 6 of their last 8 games, one of those in OT, one in a shootout, but still 6 of the 8 times they've taken the ice, they've gone to the locker room unhappy. I have a theory. I want to get your opinion on this. I think the Avalanche are bored. They look like a bored hockey team, particularly the last 2 nights in Ottawa and Montreal, both significant losses, 5-2 to the Senators, 7-3 to the Canadiens, bad 24 hours for the Colorado hockey team. And I think the Olympic break can't come soon enough because I think the guys are bored and I think they're looking ahead. What do you say?
I hope that is the case. I believe that is probably mostly the case. However, there are some things about this current little trend that are concerning, to say the least. I thought that after they kind of stubbed their toe last Friday night against Philadelphia, it's like, all right, you get beat 7-3, whatever. You got beat 7-3 the Friday before. It's like, all right, it happens. You have a bad night every once in a while. And I kind of thought going into that game on Sunday against Toronto, when they win that game 4-1, I was like, all right, they look like they got right again. Everything's fine. Then you go to Ottawa and you don't even show up against the Senators. It's like, all right, you could maybe let it slide a little bit because you're thinking, it's a Wednesday night in Ottawa. It's -13 out there. The snow-covered fields, whatever. You're not really excited. You got Montreal the next night, the mecca of hockey, really, in North America. And then you go to the Bell Center last night and you just get waxed again. You give up a goal, a minute into that game? That, to me, was alarming. And really, when you look at the totality of this team, nothing is going right now. They're not scoring. They're not getting good goaltending. The defense in front of the goaltending has been awful. The power play continues to be just an absolute train wreck. Now you lead the league in shorthanded goals given up. So really, it's nothing is going right for this team right now. So while we can all sit here and have a little bit of panic in the middle of the season here, which I'll be honest, last night I was pretty ticked off after watching that game. And I'm like, dude, this is going in a bad direction. The reality is, I think you probably are onto something that they might just be bored. A lot of these guys, Nathan McKinnon, Marty Necas, they might just be looking ahead to Milan next week, getting on a plane and going to Italy. I hope that's the case, and I think that's probably the case. But if not, then we got a whole host of issues we got to figure out.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to do the, there's nothing to see here thing.
Mm-hmm.
They still do have a 7-point lead over the entire NHL and in their own division over the Minnesota Wild. That hot start earned you a lot of goodwill. You're still on track to win the President's Trophy, get the #1 seed, make Dallas and Minnesota play each other in round 1 and all of that. But I also think, kind of to your point, it would be a disservice to our viewers and it would be a disservice to Avs fans if you and I just came here today and said, nah, they're fine. No big deal. Nothing to see here. So I'm just looking for reasons why. And I think the reason is twofold. One, they're bored, which was the headline on this video. And I agree. I mean, these guys are going to play for gold medals for the first time in their lives. It's been so long since NHL players. Nathan McKinnon's in year 13. He's never got to play for a gold medal on an Olympic stage. Cale Makar, Gabriel Landeskog, we're keeping our fingers crossed.
I think Gabe's actually the only one that got to play in the Olympics in 2014.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Arturi Lehkonen, Joel Kiviranta. I mean, it goes even to the sort of lower depths of the roster. 9 guys going to the Olympics. But we bring up Landeskog, and that to me is reason number 2. And I had hinted at this. You had talked about it. But last night was a leadership thing to me. Ottawa could have been a leadership thing too. It's negative, or it's 13 degrees. You're cold. You don't want to be there. Whatever. A guy like Gabe's not going to let that slide. He's going to be able to tell that the mood in the room isn't really up to snuff, up to par. They're not actually preparing to play an NHL game. They're preparing to go through the motions. So I think they're bored. And I also think the leadership of Landeskog combined with the skill of Devon Toews has really caught up to them. And that has led to this perfect storm of just a tough 8-game stretch, not only in the results, but just tough to watch. It hasn't been fun hockey to watch.
No, it's true. And listen, I can get fully on board. In fact, I 100% support the Devon Toews thing. They desperately miss that guy on the blue line. What he provides defensively next to Cale Makar is second to none. He's a phenomenal defender. That is shown over the last, 10 games since he's been out, roughly, give or take. Now, the Landeskog thing, I can't really subscribe to because I look at it this way. I know what he means in the room. I know he's the captain of an NHL team. But at the end of the day, these guys are professional hockey players. If if you are having these types of issues just because a 33-year-old Swedish captain is not in the room, then you got deeper problems than just Gabe Landeskog not being with the team right now.
But they've won one playoff series since Landeskog got hurt in 2022. I mean, they won the cup. He came back, played those 20 games, was phenomenal. But he returned in game 3 against Dallas last year. You haven't had success in the postseason. That to me could be a leadership issue. And I'm just saying they were so hot and playing so well, and then he goes crashing into the goalpost in Florida, and all of a sudden they hit a slump. Like, aren't those things too coincided for there not to be something to be there?
I think they miss the play on the ice from Gabe more than the leadership in the room, because
but it was 7-3 last night.
I know. I mean, I understand.
They weren't missing one player last night. They were missing Hart last night.
No, it's true. It's true. And that's maybe where I tend to lean more towards just the boredom type thing, because like the way Gabe was playing before he got hurt on the ice was pretty great. He was playing on the top line with McKinnon and Natchez, and you've seen since he left that top line that those two guys have just fallen off a cliff production wise. So and I know we talked about in the past, with the lack of playoff success without Gabe. Okay, yeah, Gabe wasn't there, but also the rosters just weren't good enough. If you had this roster last year or the year before that, we're probably not having the conversation. We may have had a parade during that time frame. So while I don't want to sit here and just completely devalue Gabe's leadership in the room, because we know it's important, we know it's a big thing, I just can't get behind the fact that professional hockey players can't get motivated to play a hockey game because their captain's not there. It seems crazy to me. Now there's probably other issues that are going on as to why they're not motivated, but that can't be one of them. But to me, man, it's disturbing that you can't get up for a game in Montreal of all places. And after getting your butt kicked the night before,
right?
That part is the part that's alarming, because I fully said, going into last night's games, they're probably going to come out guns blazing tonight and maybe win this one 6-3, 5-2, something in that realm. And you give up a goal a minute into this game, and then you never were really fully back in it the whole way in an environment like that where everybody wants to go play in Montreal. That to me just was whoa, this is something's amiss here. It's not time to panic and freak out, but it's something to at least discuss and try to figure out, what really is the problem here.
All right, so there's so much to unpack here. What about this theory? What about the lead in the standings was too big? Maybe not boredom, maybe relaxation. That they just, they have smartphones. They can look at ESPN.com, NHL.com as the rest of us. They know that the 2 points for them weren't hypercritical. Now, the gap's narrowing a little bit. It's down to 7. It's time to wake up, boys. It's time to make sure you do earn that number 1 seed. But did the lead in the standings get too big? And also, to go glass half full, could it be a positive now that we don't have to talk about, are they going to catch the Bruins for the greatest regular season in NHL history? That's pretty much off the table at this point in time. Does that maybe ease some of the pressure in terms of they did have foot on the gas so darn hard, and for whatever reason it came off? It's a bad thing because they relaxed, but it's a good thing because now we're not going to be in March and April comparing them to the Bruins every single step of the way. I'm talking about the Bruins from a few years ago when they had 135 points.
Well, I know one thing for sure. As bad as it is right now, the fact that they were able to get off such an amazing start has kind of given them just nice little cushion, even as bad as things are right now. You're okay, well, you look at the standings, they're still fine. You're 7 points up on Minnesota. You're 5 points up on Tampa for the President's Trophy. So all that is well and good. But I think you and I have talked a lot this year about how motivated this team was going to be coming into the season based on what happened last year. I kind of find it hard to believe that they were you know what? We got such a huge lead in this thing. Let's take our foot off the gas and just kind of see what happens. Because I kind of actually think that there was a strong motivation within that locker room that they wanted to maybe go out and prove, hey, we're the best team in the league. We are a legit Stanley Cup favorite, all that stuff. So I find it hard to believe that they would get complacent into that kind of realm. Now, I actually kind of look at this as maybe this is actually a good thing, because we had talked maybe a month or so ago where it's well, you've almost it was a good thing where Dallas was keeping pace with them. As great as of a start as they had gotten off to, the fact that Dallas was neck and neck with them within 2 or 3 points every single night, I thought all along that was a good thing, because that was just going to keep that team motivated. So maybe as I sit here and I say all that, maybe I kind of lean back to maybe they did get complacent because they had such a big lead. Dallas had kind of fallen off a little bit. Minnesota had kind of fallen off a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe there really is something to it. This whole thing it's honestly, it's kind of hard to explain and quantified just because of how good they were to start this entire season.
Well, and maybe it was more of a subconscious thing than anything else, right? Like I'm not sitting here going, you know what, guys, Nathan McKinnon walked into the room and said, we have a big lead. We don't need to try it. Like that never would have happened.
No chance.
But just sort of that human nature, subconscious relaxation component that came from this could be something that is a theory. Now, all that said, I did have someone in my social media mentions last night who was trying to fire Jared Bednar. And it's like, what are we doing? They have 79 points, the most in the NHL by still a comfortable margin. It just does crack me up, Drew, that fans are going to fan, and it's one guy. He's behind an anonymous account, or she's behind an anonymous account. I get it. But this team has played so well, and they have a bad 2.5, 3 weeks, and people are literally calling to fire the head coach. It just makes me shudder to think what the playoffs will be like if they fall short.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get that out there. It's a ludicrous, ridiculous, absurd notion. I shouldn't even be giving it oxygen, but the fact that people think that way sort of just blows my mind.
Let me guess. Like he's lost the room. Was that the thing?
Exactly. The voice no longer works in the room.
Come on. He's one of the most well-respected coaches in the National Hockey League. The way that the team, the leaders of the team talk about Jared Bednar, like there's no credence to that whatsoever. Listen, they're in a bad stretch. It happens. It's all probably going to be just fine. Like they may come out of this Olympic thing and come out and win 7 in a row, something crazy like that. But to talk about firing Jared Bednar at this point is just crazy. Like to me, the only way you would fire Jared Bednar, even to have a conversation about it, is if they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs this year. Like to me, that's it. Now, if you want to have a conversation about Dave Hackstall, I'm all ears. I am all ears on that one.
Would you make a change that quickly, though? You just hired this guy to be your new power play coach after firing Ray Bennett, who was the right-hand man of Jared Bednar, was here for years and years and years. Would you really say, if you're Joe Sakic or Chris McFarland, yeah, Dave Hackstall, we hired you in what, August?
Yeah.
And you're gone by February? That would be such a quick pulling of the plug.
It would, but hasn't the play or the lack thereof of the power play warrant it a little bit? I mean,
I look, I think it's two different conversations here. Should they do it? Maybe. I'm open to it. Will they do it? Knowing that organization, it would shock me. Let's put it that way.
I think you're right. And I actually kind of went and did like a little study this morning because I wanted to go back and just go watch their power plays over the last couple games and just to kind of see what some of these problems were. See maybe if I could diagnose. Like I'm not sitting here saying I'm Dave Hackstall, anything like that, but I want to see like, all right, what does this look like? Some of the things that I saw when watching it, I don't think were necessarily coach related. That's the thing. Like the first thing that stood out to me when watching it, they lose almost every faceoff that they have in the neutral zone when you start the power play. So already from that point, you're starting in a disadvantage because the opposing team gets the puck, they clear the puck, you got to go out and retrieve it, work your way back in the zone. Right there, you're killing 15, 20, 30 seconds sometimes. So there's a lot of things that I look at this power play and I look at it and go, you know what? I don't know if a different coach would make that much of a difference. I think it actually needs to be more of, players need to be held more accountable. Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon. There was a play I saw in the power play last night where Brock Nelson's out of position where he should have been on a power play. He was in the right spot. He would have been wide open for an opportunity to score a goal. So while we could sit here and say, yeah, maybe they should fire Dave Hackstall, at the end of the day, it comes down to what are the guys doing on the ice. Those guys all have to be better. We know with as much talent as they have on the ice, when the power play is out there, they absolutely should be better and can be better.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. You and I always have fun on these podcasts. I think they're always passionate.
Yep.
But today I think was our most passionate of the season. It's amazing what a few losses will do to sort of fire both of us up and run theories by each other.
Well, it's weird because I mean, how many times we come in here and be like, well, they won again last night.
Right.
Like it's 7-1 win. Like that was awesome and it was great. But this actually gives you a little bit more discourse trying to figure out, all right, what are the problems with this team? Because like you'd be blind to sit here and say there aren't problems with this team right now. Are they fixable? Are they probably going to get fixed? Of course they probably are. But this is where we're at right now in the middle of the season. And you just got to say, all right, let's just go with it. And what we got to diagnose what our eyes are telling us. And right now, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, it hasn't been good enough. They'll need to get back on track and hopefully do it quickly or just kind of limp to that Olympic break that comes relatively soon. All right, it was fun. Another good episode of Mile High Hockey. Appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're catching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. We will see you